Let's start with reflecting on all the happenings or the sideshows that happened after the budget speech, the interview by the former Eskom CEO and the ANC's response to the damning allegations.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unexpected. I was aware that Mr. de Ruyter had some heavy issues on his heart, and that he wanted to clear the decks with his exit. The situation that he's complaining is 2008, and in fact, when I raised some of those issues of corruption revolving around Medupi in 2008, my contract was also not renewed. And in fact, it was cancelled. It was extended verbally for 10 years and then cancelled when I asked the wrong question. So I don't think, and it was the same senior party people who were involved with transactions at Chancellor House and Medupi and Eskom. And the same people, very similar people, also very high up top of the party, who wanted me to help them feed from the coal trough. So it's nothing new to me. I've had those demands previously in 2006 to 2008, and when I refused to cooperate, I also had an attack on my house. So nothing new.
Are you at liberty to share who actually came to you and was asking for something?
Well, when I say that the message came and the instructions came from the top of the party, it was whoever was at the top of the party at that time. I was sent 6 people, the so-called fixer team, and their first demand was how to participate at the trough. I unfortunately they didn't come with business cards, so I wouldn't be able to name them. Although the person who put the meeting together would probably be able to remember if I'm that lucky and tell us who those 6 people were. But unfortunately, they didn't. They introduced themselves to me, but I didn't know any of them, and they didn't leave business cards. They didn't leave a track or trail, as I said.
Okay. Ted, let's focus on this. So there's reports that on Tuesday and Wednesday, in fact, South Africa was at stage 7 load shedding, during evening peak, even though no formal announcement was made. And I'm just taking a look at my broadband. Jan Vermeulen, someone we speak to quite often on the show, reporting on this. Is this something that you have caught wind of?
Oh, absolutely. On your competing station last year with Sally Burdett, I mean, we had an extensive debate with Sikanati, and it then turned out that Eskom had been lying to the public. I can't remember Sikanati's famous last words, but it seemed to me that they conceded, as they have now conceded, that they did indeed. In fact, I mean, the stats are based on the tweets that Sikanati pushes out every day. If you wait for the Eskom webpage data portal, it takes too long. You don't know where you are. But the fastest channel to finding out what's going on, and hopefully it's honest and truthful, is Sikanati's tweets. And in fact, it's even more surprising or difficult because Eskom doesn't tell you that before they announce the load shedding to you and me as members of the public, they've already load shedded certain parts of industry with whom they've got load shedding agreements. So by the time it gets to us, we could be 1, 2, 3 levels down of load shedding, depending on how much they've used their agreements to load shed with industry. So it's always been opaque. Yes, again on Tuesday, Sikanati's numbers acknowledge that they load shed over 7,000, just over 7,092, if I remember correctly, megawatts. And the rules are very clear, the NERSA rules. And that is that if you go over 7,000, well, then it rounds up to the next number. So that would be 8 load shedding, in fact, if you follow the rules and on a very technical basis.
Okay, let's take a look at what we invited you on the show for. Thank you for your indulgence, by the way. The announcement by the Finance Minister of the monies that they will be committing to Eskom. Is this a welcome move?
Yeah, as far as I can see, the movement of the 254 billion from Eskom's balance sheet to Treasury is just a get out of jail or stay out of jail card free for the perpetrators of the massive corruption that took place with the commencement of Medupi, Kusile and Ngula. because, I mean, de Ruyter acknowledged in Parliament in the last 2 weeks that he and Eskom were now aware of that corruption. The SIU have mentioned that they are aware of that corruption and quantified it at about 178 billion rand. Now, if everybody's aware of this corruption, why don't we unravel the corruption and catch the perpetrators and take the debt and write it off Eskom's books without taking it to Treasury and prosecuting the perpetrators? So I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's just shifting the can, and I think it's a get out of jail card free for those perpetrators, because it just leaves Eskom as badly hamstrung, because if they can't borrow more money, they can't do what they're supposed to be doing, and I mean that's a sort of a death spiral activity. That's the one thing. The other thing that needs to be asked is, why did de Ruyter prepay 82 billion rands worth of debt that apparently wasn't due towards the end of last year? Because if we'd taken that money and used it for maintenance, then we probably wouldn't have been sitting with this level of load shedding. In fact, de Ruyter has skirted with maintenance and refurbishment and OEMs and OEM guarantees for the last 3 years, but nothing seems to have happened. If you look at the results, we've actually gone backwards. So is the minister's concession good? No, I think it's just shifting the deck chairs. On the other hand, I also want to comment about the so-called solar rooftop incentive. Well, the one for households, private households, is ridiculous. It misses 90% of the potential market. It's really pathetic that the government can't come up with something better. The option for industry is a little bit better at 125%. But again, I would have thought that Treasury would have been would have shown more ingenuity in putting something more concrete on the table.
In fact, saying that the cap would be 15,000 rand in terms of those rebates. And when it comes to this, well, essentially we were on stage 8 load shedding on Tuesday and Wednesday. Are we looking forward to much of the same, especially going into winter, right? If you hear what de Ruyter was saying, he didn't paint a good picture of what is going to happen in winter.
Well, and that's a picture that Eskom has painted when they did their medium-term outlook. And but there's none as deaf as those who don't want to hear. The fact of the matter is that virtually every week on Eskom's own schedules, and that was before the mess around with Kuberg and swapping out the units and not having the stores ready and so on Eskom's own acknowledgement. And that was before losing Kusile 1, 2, and 3 because of the flue stack failure. They were already heading for level 8 load shedding or level 6 on a permanent, semi-permanent basis. So yes, I think from here forwards, without leadership and without operational leadership, because Overalls is also leaving, and I believe other senior members of Eskom have decided to hang up their dogs. The fact of the matter is we're sitting with a rudderless organization which has lots of political interference, and we've seen the disastrous results of the political interference. So I have no confidence that the Lansing are going to stay on for the full year, unfortunately, as bad an outlook as that might be.
Ted Blom, thank you very much for availing yourself. He's an energy expert.